Hi, I'm Alex.
And I'm Becky.
This is Girl
on Girl.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm alright. Today I'm alright. How are you?
Oh, just today.
Oh, yesterday I felt like poo.
I think this is a lot of people are up and down, aren't they? I'm sort of a bit upset about my fringe. I've got a corona fringe. Because, I'm due a haircut.
I like this side sweep though that it's forcing you to do.
Do a side sweep. Yeah, I don't quite know what to do. Anyway, there are worse things going on in people's lives.
Than fringes.
Situation. Yeah. But we don't want to talk about the C word today, do we?
No, boring. Everyone's done. It is what it is. Next.
Yeah, we've done and we've done 2 episodes about it, which is more than we did about trauma. We did 2 episodes of trauma, didn't we?
Yeah. So today
I was thinking about talking about all the weird and wonderful jobs we've had.
We have had some really bizarre ones, haven't we? I think it's like a creative thing.
Do you?
Yeah. Although having said that, you trained in a real grown-up job, so...
Well, yeah, but I did it sort of later.
Yeah,
than
true.
Most people would. And I when I was younger, I had lots of different jobs, and people used to be a bit mean about it. Say, oh, you can never settle anywhere. You can never, be happy doing something. And it wasn't that. It was just, I've always had this, feeling of, it makes me sound like such a hippie, and I don't mean it to, but that life is quite short, and that if you don't do all the things, we don't get a chance to have a go, do we? So we just, that's how I've always felt. If you want to try doing something,
if you can do it, then
is the time.
Yeah.
Whenever that,
I totally agree. Everyone used to I was always a bit of a, well, no, actually, the same. I did a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, or in fact, a lot of this, a lot of that, a lot of that. And the amount of people would be like, you have to choose one
thing,
one course.
Why do you have to choose one thing?
And I didn't ever. I never ever did. And life was fine. And I'm still doing all of the things.
I don't think there's a lot of people that probably just couldn't deal with that though, just because, people want that feeling of security, financial security and all of that. Yeah. And the way I've kind of lived my work life has been a little bit precarious.
Yeah, I've definitely always been very skint.
Yeah, me too. But I kind of find a way around it.
Yeah.
Somehow. Oh, well, I say that now. Just wait a few months' time.
Yeah.
Be out on the street.
There's always a way, though. There's always a way.
So when I was at school and was going to college, I studied media studies at college, and my plan was I always wanted to work in TV production. That was the thing. And then when I finished college and I was going to go to uni, my parents were like, no, you need to get a proper job. This is just nonsense, just like a dream. You're always going to struggle. You've got to go do something proper. And so I ended up not going to university, and I went and got a job, and I was working in an office, and it was really, really, it was fun, but it was really, really boring as well, because it was just not doing what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I was explaining this to my daughter yesterday, because we were talking about what she wants to be when she's a grown-up. And I was saying, it's funny, when I started, that's what I wanted. And then I've gone back and forth to so many different things, because I've listened to other people.
Yeah.
Instead of just doing what I wanted.
Yeah.
So I ended up then, after that, going through I did that for maybe 5 years, and then I gave it all up and became an air hostess.
Oh, yes. That must have been the most bizarre job.
I hated it.
Yeah, my friend Abby hated it as well. Were you long haul or short haul, or how does it
I
work?
was short haul, and I used to love flying. Like, I travelled quite a bit, and that was like my favourite bit, the flight. So I used to really, really like it. And when I started doing it for a job, I ended up becoming so fearful, and I hated it so much.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah. Because you know
I found
too
it
much,
awful.
right?
Yeah, you kind of know too much, and well, it made me think human beings, just when they're passengers on airplanes, I mean, I'm making a sweeping statement here, but they're generally not very nice.
No. What's
They kind of forget something when they cross the threshold of the aircraft. They kind of forget, like, how to behave nicely.
Like what?
Well, I had on one occasion someone so bad. Someone told me that there was a problem with the toilet, and so I went to have a look, and someone had done a poo in the sink. Yeah. Why would you shit in a sink? You wouldn't do that at home. Why do that on an airplane?
Oh my God. And I guess you never found out who it was that did it.
Oh yeah, no one's going to own up to that, are they?
Was it a boy poo or a girl poo?
I have no idea. I didn't examine it greatly. I kind of looked in and thought, there's a shit in the sink.
Did you have to clean it?
Well, I chose not to. I just sealed up the toilet and said it was out of order until we got to the other end. But
And then the cleaners had to deal with it.
yeah, I totally passed the buck. I'm really sorry.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
What a thing to do. And also, I didn't realise that people still get sick on aeroplanes. And I'm not very good for sick, as we've discussed in another podcast
Hang on,
episode.
what would have stopped them getting sick on aeroplanes? Why have you forgotten that? Or why did you...
Well, no, but I just didn't think people these days were. I thought that it's such a smooth, like...
Oh, I see.
...passage of travel these days that it wouldn't cause that sort of thing. And it would always happen. It was always when I was, like, walking down an aisle. And it always happened really unexpectedly and dramatically, and it was so nasty, and having to clean up someone else's bomb in a small space.
Oh.
It's really, really grim.
Oh. Do people
and I
like...
just found that... Go on.
Do people like sleep in... Because most of the flights that I do, or a lot of the flights I do, are really long haul. And I've seen a couple of people sleep in the most peculiar ways. Like, I get, lying across a number of chairs if you're lucky enough to have 3 seats to yourself and stuff. Like, I do that a lot. But one day there was a man, like, literally, who'd fallen asleep. And I don't know whether he had sort of done it in his sleep, but he'd managed to, like, caterpillar himself across the aisle and was asleep there. And obviously that's, like, really inconvenient for everybody.
Yeah, it's not very safe either.
No.
You've just reminded me of something. I remember being I was on a flight as a passenger. I was going to Australia, and I was sitting in, like, the window seat, and there was a guy on the aisle seat, so there was a space in between us. And he was quite young, reasonably good looking. Anyway, I was asleep, but I turned onto my side and I was facing his way, but I was just sleeping. Anyway, I woke up and his face was, like, right there. He was just, like, looking at me. He was wide awake. And he was just looking at me, and he said, "You look so lovely when you're asleep."
Oh my God.
And I just thought, I'm stuck on
You're like that.
airplane. And he's seen me sleep. But I just thought it was so creepy. And why would you do that?
That could have been your future man.
It was creepy. I mean, I know my taste is not brilliant. Even for me, that was too creepy. Oh, and I had to sit there for, like, the rest of the flight. It's a long flight.
Yeah.
Oh, he's such a creep.
That's so funny.
Yeah. So I didn't love that job. I did it for, I think, only a year.
Yeah, my friend Abby did it, and and she absolutely hated it. And she said that the training that she was put through basically put her off flying for life. Like,
it's really traumatic.
she was she was so scared by the end of it of knowing too much and what you can and can't do and get out of and stuff. And
yeah, actually, now I think about it, maybe it was that. Maybe it was the training that did it and not the actual job. And it's it's kind of like a loss of control as well, isn't it? You can't get off. You're kind of stuck in it.
My last flight, coming back from Kuala Lumpur last year, I was woken up to people shrieking around me, and I woke up. The two people in the seats, I was in the window seat, the two people beside me were out and were standing up at the end staring at me. 2 or 3 air hostess people were all also staring at me.
What did you
And
do?
I woke up and was like, what is going on? No one spoke English. Or obviously the hostess people did, but the people beside me were yapping away. And then they were like smelling the seat on that far end. And then they were like smelling the connection and very calmly told me that they thought our row was on fire. And I was like,
oh my goodness.
Did you not think of getting me out of my chair as well? And they were like, well, that's why we've woken you up. Can you smell down in that corner whether you think it's burning? I was like, and I never, like, that the speed that I was like, holy shit, that's really scary. And then once you're told that you can smell burning, I don't know if I could or couldn't, but that's all you can smell. So then I was like, oh my God, yeah, I definitely can. And where is it coming from? And then after about 10 minutes of hunting and checking and pulling, they ripped the cushions off. They didn't even get me out of my seat in the end. Like, apparently I was fine. My chair was not on fire. But after they pulled both of those things off, they gave up. So then they put the things back down, and then they were like, well, you know, if anything develops, let us know. And I was like,
how long were you into the flight? I mean, did you
we
have a long
definitely,
wait?
yeah, like would have had another probably 7 or 8 hours to go.
Yeah, that's way worse than just some man telling you that you look
I was
beautiful
really
in
like, oh, so we just pretend that we weren't all smelling burning a minute ago, and that we don't think the chair's on fire. Like, we see what happens.
It's
so
really,
weird.
It's a really unnatural thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Flying.
But I mean, obviously the chairs weren't on fire, and
So I'm glad that you've lived to tell the tale.
And I'm
thank
alive.
goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it put me off for a really long time. After I did it, I didn't fly for years. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. And then I started again about 5 years ago. Went to visit a friend of mine who lives in France. It was a really quick flight, actually. But I ended up having to get quite drunk on the plane to get through it. And then she picked me up from the airport and had to take me straight to the airport cafe and give me coffee so she could take me home to her family. Saved me up a bit, but I'm a lot better now.
You can tell me, I know that you know the answer to this, why people fart so much on the plane.
Well, no, do I know the answer?
Well, I don't know,
Have I
but
said the answer
that does
before?
happen, right? Because people, it stinks.
Yeah, and it must be something to do. Well, it's something obviously to do with the air pressure, isn't it?
Yeah.
But farting's a massive thing on aeroplanes, isn't it? It's really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Really bad tummy ache.
Yeah.
But I would never be so bad that I'd go and shit in the sink.
No. I mean, I've been known to ask. I remember one flight. I can't remember where I was going, but again, that was a really long one. And this man next to me, I actually had to ask him to stop farting because he smelt so bad. Like the odd 1 or 2 fine, I can just about deal with.
You definitely knew it was him.
For sure. Oh, for sure. Like,
I can't believe you asked him, and you were so English.
but
aren't we?
I couldn't help myself because I was like, I literally cannot
Can't deal
do
with it.
another however many hours. I was like, you have to stop making that smell.
Ugh. Flying is just awful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not that any of us are going to be doing it again for a long time.
No. Boom.
Yeah. What was it? You've had some really weird jobs.
Yeah, I have loads of really weird jobs. I was Tony the Tiger for a while. Character costume.
Tony the Tiger, like
Kellogg's.
The Tiger.
Yeah.
That was you.
I
You were
was.
Tony.
Yeah, and in fact, there were only 3 of us in the UK. Well, there were 3 proper costumes. There were quite a lot of costume character actors, but
Oh man, I can't.
mind you, there were probably only
told
about
me.
12 of us who were trained to be Tony Tiger. You know, it's a very elite role.
I really wish that you hadn't told me because it kind of spoils it for me a little bit now.
Well, everyone always assumed. Hang on,
Actual training to be Tony.
here you go. This is one of the pictures from.
Oh, is that actually you?
And that was at a football, I don't know, I can't remember which one. But yeah, I'd have to run out onto the stadium and prance around. And people obviously always assumed that I was a boy. Yeah. And I remember, so I travelled. I was only 17 when I did this job. And I would drive to, ironically enough, we cycled past the woman's house where I used to pick up the costume from. And the company was called Park Shows. And I'd drive to Staines and I'd pick up this Tony Tiger costume and all of my other bits. And then I'd drive to like all over the UK to the point I even went like to the very, very western tip of Wales once, which at 17 is quite a big drive and stuff.
For our international listeners, Tony the Tiger is just very famous.
They're great.
Very, very famous mascot for a brand of breakfast cereal.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
can't believe it.
And I remember doing a job in Hull, of all places. And that was like a town fete or a fair or something like that. And I got really quite badly beaten up by about 6 scuzzy kids who, the boy, like they surrounded me. My minder was crap. Like whoever was looking after me that day, because you always have one person nearby that is your minder that's a metre away or so, just to make sure that you don't get beaten up. So I don't know where this person was, why they were so crap. But I remember being like kicked or trodden on or something like that on the side of my leg. And then I noticed someone pull my tail. And you can't see very much, so you can only really see, I think with Tony, you look out of his mouth, so there's only quite a small amount of space because he's really tall. And so yeah, I couldn't see where these little bastards were. And then there was one in front of me going, "Are you a boy or a girl?" And
my goodness.
and he put his hand out, and so I shook it and I squeezed it so hard as if to be like, "You pull my tail one more time, you little bastard." And he kicked me really, really hard. And then before I knew it, I had like 3 or 4 of them, like bam, bam, bam.
I mean, it's a tough gig being Tony the Tiger.
It is tough.
Yeah.
Although Tony was quite big and scary, I was blue brick, pink brick, and red brick at Legoland for 2 summers. And you're again, I have a picture of, this isn't actually me, but this gives you an idea. This is pink brick.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think I would prefer to be pink brick.
Yeah, than Tony. But you really can't see very much at all in pink
Very
brick.
hot, I would imagine, as well.
Really hot, and it's only ever a summer job. So, and it's
difficult getting through doors.
Honestly, like, you just spend your whole time walking into things and walking into children and hitting them around the face without realising.
Wow.
And And also, you'd come out and do your half-hour stint of being a blue brick, and then you'd go back into your green room, and then you'd have like 20 minutes before you were then a pirate in a different part of the park. And
yeah, I've seen that. I mean, I don't think you could possibly have been paid enough to do that job.
No, I think your entire daily wage was about 60 quid. It was, you know, and they were long. They were sort of 12-hour days. But it was fun.
Do you know, there's a job I had that was quite nice. I worked at Battersea Dogs Home.
Oh, I
that's
like
a nice
that.
job.
That's a brilliant. Although I would 100%, I would really struggle. Didn't you just want all of the doggies?
Yeah, well, at the time it was. Yeah, I was more a cat person than a dog person at the time. Don't tell Jeffrey. But yeah, I wanted them all, and it was I was working in the rehab department.
Wow.
So it's like dogs that have got really big problems, usually because they've been treated really badly and they're just a bit, you know, disturbed and could be quite aggressive. And
oh my God.
they would have assessments done as to whether they would ever be able to be homed again.
God, you must have learnt loads, though.
It was so sad, though.
Yeah,
I learned so much, which is why Jeffrey is just such a lovely dog. But yeah, it was really. I loved it, but it was sad and quite smelly.
Yes, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I did it for the love. I couldn't afford to stay there. I had to go and get a proper job.
Again,
not that that's not a proper job, it is a proper job, but I had to.
Yeah, one that actually, that's like working. I worked at stables for years, and the pay is just so bad. Again, for the amount of work, and the same, I imagine, at the dog's home, you spend your entire time mucking them out, basically.
Yeah,
mucking out and feeding.
In the rehab department, you're mucking them out and hoping that you don't get your arm ripped off.
Yeah, of course.
It was quite scary. Go on.
Well, that reminded me, and this is what I'd completely forgotten, actually. So I worked for a company called Animal Ants for a while, and almost got my arm ripped off by a goose. So one of the houses, and I didn't realise how aggressive geese were at all.
So Animal Ants, you sort of like house sit, look after the pets.
Yeah.
And they had geese.
Oh my God. So because I'd always, when I was growing up, I was able to
talk to animals.
Yeah, that too. But we always had a lot of animals, so if you're able to,
there still is, isn't there, at your mum's?
Yeah, so if you're able to do, if you know, like, there are lots of animal aunts and lots of sitters, but there aren't many people who can do horses, alpacas, you know, blah blah blah, or the big animals too. So I got some amazing places, and there was this one. I had like one regular place that I loved that had like the most obscene second house just for their children that was enormous, and their children were about 3, and it had a swimming pool with a motor in it and blah 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 blah. That was amazing. Wow. And then another regular house that I absolutely hated because they had, and the house was filthy, so I would spend most of my time, like, I'm not a big fan of cleaning, but I would like almost obsessively clean their house because I just think, how can you live in this disgusting state? But they obviously spent more time looking after their crazy animals. And they had, so my daily job would be, I think they probably had 5 or 6 horses, 4 goats, 4 again, quite aggressive goats that were really hard work. Yeah, amazing. But they're also really quite high maintenance, and about 10 geese, and then other little furries, cats and dogs and stuff like that. But the geese and the goats all lived in the same field together, and that was like, you'd have to hold things because the goat would charge you, and that was quite a regular thing. So you'd go out and feed them, and you'd be like holding a stick, a broom, to protect yourself from the goats, and it wouldn't come near you. But while I was doing that, I totally left my left ear off the boil, and suddenly this mouth was over my arm and was like like lockjaw, so strong. It was so painful.
Oh my God.
So yeah,
Did it break the skin?
A little bit, yeah, I think so, and lots of bruising.
Bruising. Wow. You don't expect that sort of danger, do you?
Really aggressive. And then I remember sort of telling the people when they came back, I was like, yeah, your whatever darling ducky thing was called. I was like, it bit me, and they were like, oh yeah, well you do have to be careful. Geese are quite aggressive.
Well, obviously they're not going to tell you that before they go on holiday.
Yeah, thanks for letting me know. Yeah. You warned me about the goats. You didn't warn me about the geese.
I was just remembering that job I had. I'm not sure how much I can say about it, which is going to be a great story for a podcast. You know that job I had? I worked for as a secretary for a TV presenter.
Yes!
Yeah. For legal reasons, I can't say too much about who it was. Because he did end up in prison, but it was the most extraordinary job that I did there. Travelled quite a lot and saw lots of really interesting things.
Animals?
But it wasn't. Saw some animals, yeah. Saw some kangaroos and wallabies.
And any artwork and stuff? Did you see a bit of that?
Saw some of that as well. Ended up, and I was telling someone this the other day, although I didn't go into great detail, but this person played at Glastonbury one year, and it was actually the week after I got married, and I had to go and work, and just standing on the pyramid stage. I mean, what an amazing thing to have been able to do, and just see this sea of people. I mean, it was so incredible.
Oh man!
And it was the weirdest job probably I've ever had.
Yeah. Oh, I wish you could say
like
more.
Yeah, me too.
It'd be fascinating to.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm allowed, but it's.
Did you ever sit on his lap?
I don't think so. I was never invited to, which I was a bit disappointed about in hindsight. What was wrong with me?
You weren't young enough.
I wasn't. I was pretty young. I wasn't young enough. Yeah. Such a weird time in my life.
That's so
I used to have to answer all the fan mail, and I would write all the. I mean, this is quite a long time. It's like 20 years ago now. Things were a little bit different technology-wise. So I used to write all the replies. Well, I typed them, and he would sign them. But I used to really feel these people. So I used to really write like nice replies that they would have thought were from him, but they were actually from me.
Oh God! So now they're like rereading their responses.
I can't imagine that any of them are listening to the podcast.
Maybe he was so nice to me. Look what he wrote.
Yeah, I really cared about my sick mother, and it was I used to love that bit. I used to love reading all the fan mail.
Nowadays, you just have to be reading his Instagram.
I know, it's so different, isn't it? These days, people used to actually, write letters. It's not even that long ago, really. But people used to write these letters. It's very sweet.
I can't imagine,
and I used to get literally sacks of it.
Yeah, I bet.
And I would try and, because it was really at a time.
But he was mega.
He or she, was.
Don't think you sat on her lap.
Top of their game, and so there was a lot to do. It was a lot of work. Great experience. But, and it did lead on to other interesting things. I went from working for him. I went to work for a television news channel on a politics program. It was a massive change from doing that to then doing something like that. But so random.
But then how long after then did you train as a midwife?
It was after that job. that I decided I was going to go and go back to university and learn how to be something else.
A something, yeah.
And I didn't know I really didn't know what to do. And I'd always kind of fancied the idea of being a midwife, but I wasn't sure. And so I started looking into it, and my ex-husband was very, very, he really wanted me to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I applied.
Get a proper job.
Yeah, get a proper job, yeah. And I applied and didn't actually get offered a place on the university course.
It's because they found out who you'd just been working for.
Maybe. So I just had decided, okay, it's not meant to be. I'm just going to continue with, I'm going to get another TV contract doing some, I was production secretary. I'm just going to do something else like that. And then September, I'd got a phone call from the university saying someone had dropped out. Would I still be interested in starting? But you have to start tomorrow. Oh. And me being such a hippie, I thought, it must be a sign. I must be meant, it's meant for me.
Yeah.
So I just dropped everything and agreed to do it. And I started the next day.
Wow.
And in hindsight, it probably wasn't the right thing to do. I didn't really enjoy it. And I loved, like, the women that I cared for, but I almost cared too much. I used to feel women, their pain. And some people, it's not just, the physical pain of going through childbirth. Some people, their life stories are just so sad, and people have quite difficult lives. And I used to take it all, like, home with me. Mm. So, but I did it. So I was a midwife while I had my kids. Did it. Well, I still am a midwife. I just haven't practiced now for a little while.
That's amazing. And then your random jobs became yoga.
I know. Well, but that's another thing, isn't it? It's just like you just evolve, don't you? It's not that you're just picking random things. You're just evolving, and as people, we change.
Yeah, and being open to whatever. I'm going to do a counselling course in September.
That is such a good idea. I was going to do something like that, but I just haven't got myself together enough to do it.
Come and do it as well then. At Guildford College, I'm doing it 1 day a week.
Oh, are you?
Mm-hmm.
You send me the information. But with yoga, I was practicing anyway, and while I was recovering from my accident, I just wanted something to do.
Yeah.
And so I did the yoga teacher training then. But that for me, it's something I've always done. But it's just now I'm just sharing it with people instead of just doing it on my own.
Yeah. Yeah. I've definitely always taught. That's since being a child. Well, obviously not quite being a child.
Teaching has been a thing for you.
Teaching's been a thing. Yeah. Or passing on information. It's very bizarre.
And did you expect yoga teaching to become such a big part of your life?
No. If anything, I'd have thought I'd have been more of a dance teacher than a yoga teacher.
But you kind of are. Your yoga's very dancey.
Yeah, and I still actually would quite like to teach dance. I haven't done that for a few years, but I was teaching quite a lot of dance until about 3 years ago. And I kind of miss that, which is probably why I end up doing so much dance in the yoga, because I miss choreographing.
I did a dance class last week. I'll tell you something.
Did you?
This whole Corona madness, right? Because we've got so much time on our hands, and there's so much stuff online. I'm doing so many things, and my children are just taking the piss out of me because they think, please stop, Mum, it's so embarrassing.
No, that's brilliant.
I've been doing a dance class. I've been having singing lessons.
What?
I've been doing loads of exercise stuff. Honestly, I'm doing so much.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Where did you do your dance class?
I did it online. It's the dance school that my daughter goes to. I started doing classes for adults during this whole...
Oh my God, I might have to go to a dance class.
They do a different one every night.
Do they?
Yeah, and I did a street dance.
Yeah.
And my kids were honestly mortified
I bet.
at me. Yeah. I was really like feeling my inner J-Lo. And they were just like, no. There's some things that you shouldn't see your mother do. And apparently twerking is one of them.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, I love it. Oh, I hadn't even thought about doing that. I haven't attended any other classes, and I'm really missing that.
There's so much stuff out there. You really should.
Yeah, I definitely should.
And so who knows what weird and wonderful jobs are going to be next.
I know.
When I got offered a job just before we went into lockdown, I was just starting to change my life again and go down, I was
back down the media route. I really hope that still happens. I'm sure it will once life goes back to normality.
Yeah, we just need to wait for everything to go back to normal again. But
yeah,
it's difficult to not. You feel like you have to justify why you're changing things.
Yeah, I keep one of the jobs I haven't mentioned is the fact that I used to be a mad scientist, and I keep, even yesterday or the day before, or yesterday it probably was, when I was a bit like, oh, what am I doing? I hate my life. Oh, I'm so, like, I'm not earning any money. I earned more money when I was a science boffin. And I thought, actually, maybe I should set up a science company.
Oh yeah, hot scientist girl. I could do that.
To be fair, I remember turning up to kids' parties. Quite often they'd be on a Saturday morning. I'd be really hungover for a start, but I would have... I was wearing a lot of makeup back when I was being a science presenter, and I'd have my goggles on and a white science coat, like...
Oh, all the dads were like, yes.
They must have been. They must have been quite shocked at this bird turning up. Yeah.
I bet. You nearly blow yourself up on one occasion?
Yeah, that was in Hull as well. There's obviously something about Hull.
I'm not sure if we've mentioned this before on a podcast.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we did in one of the trauma ones, but I had one of the big water bottles. I'd done loads, I'd basically do an hour's performance, either at school assemblies or at outdoor festivals or whatever. And so I had this hour patter. And then 2 days before I went up to Hull for this job, the owner said, oh, we've got a new, or I don't even think it was that new, but I think some of the more advanced scientists had been doing it in their presentations, and I just hadn't put it in mine at this point. And he was like, but Hull's, it's a really big festival, so if you could do it, because it looks brilliant and it's a really big spectacle at the end. And basically I can't even really remember the science behind it, but in the big empty water bottle, you put in a bit of methane liquid.
I mean, it already sounds so safe.
I know. and they didn't even they sent me off with this water bottle, methane liquid, and this litmus paper to light. And we didn't do a test of it or anything. So I had no safety warning whatsoever. So I've done my hour's presentation, and at the end I was like, woohoo, all this big, getting the kids to drum roll in the front row and all this sort of stuff. As I bring this water thing in front and I pour in the methane and I light the match or whatever it is that I've lit, put it in, and the speed that this thing exploded, and the next thing I knew, I put my hands to my face.
I don't know why I'm laughing. And it's so horrendous.
Well, I didn't know what had happened to me. I couldn't feel anything. And then I sort of moved my hands and felt that they were sticky. I moved my hands, and all I could see was all the women, the mothers in the front row, hands over faces. And I thought, okay, something really bad has happened.
Oh my God.
And then the next thing I knew, there were 2 water buckets beside me and nearby, just really for other things. I put my hands straight into these water buckets and then tried to carry on, knowing that something awful had happened. But I then was like, I was down on my knees, hands in water buckets, going la 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 la. And obviously, I looked, worse than I felt right at that moment, because the next thing were these 2 firemen I just remember them being in their fireproof outfits, literally coming and lifting me up and carrying me off stage.
Oh my God.
And putting me into this little mobile
Were you very,
unit.
very badly burnt?
Yeah, they then bandaged my head. I'd lost my eyebrows, my eyelashes, and on this side, you can't tell here, and actually it's grown. It's the same size as my scar, isn't it?
It's not a good
Oh,
size
hang
for
on.
you, is it?
Oh no, maybe it wasn't that side. No, actually it wasn't. It was this side. But my hair, actually, this is all baby hair. So my hairline went back by a good centimetre around the front. Not that I'm, saying that that's why I've got such a massive forehead. But I had a good centimetre here that I lost. And it went back here by probably an inch or 2. I completely lost.
Goodness me.
And it was just like coming out in clumps as they were sort of trying to help and put water and put bandage on my head. And then I looked at my hands were like peeling and all stuff.
Honestly, the things that you've been through.
I know, it's really
So
random.
was that the end of that job? Did you not do it again?
I never did it. Never did it again. And they paid me off, like the bastards. I should have sued them. Obviously, I could have sued them for fortunes.
Yeah, health and safety at work.
Yeah.
They should have got away with that.
I mean, thank God I wasn't scarred. I've got no scarring. My hands, my head, nothing. No scarring. Which is unbelievable, because I was in Charing Cross Burns unit. Like, it was a major incident, and they paid me £200
Wow.
to say that I would, and I had to sign something saying that I would never talk about it again.
Uh-oh. You're probably going to owe them £200 now.
Shocking. The company was called Science Boffins, and they can go
Science
swivel.
Boffins.
Yeah.
Science Boffins. Is there any job now that you would like to do? Postman? Hairdresser?
A postman, postman, the only thing I think about with postman is how fit you'd get.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about my postman. Is my postman really fit?
Right.
Okay.
A job.
I mean, my hairdressing days are over. I don't think I could do that now with my dodgy wrist.
Yeah, that's true.
I did a day of a massage course once.
Oh, I
was going to do massage.
I thought about that as well, and I paid in fact, twice I think I've paid the deposit and never gone to the course, because the reality is...
I paid and I did one day. I was pregnant, and I was really feeling very sick, and I discovered that, it's quite physical, isn't it? And it was making me feel really, the smell of it, or everything just made me feel sick, and I just didn't ever go back. I couldn't do that now either.
I mean, I did a massage course as part of my studying years ago, and so I know how to massage, and Rupert obviously is a masseuse, so I do learn a lot of techniques from him, but my thumbs get too tired.
Yeah. I've worked in a pub. I used to love working in the pub.
Yeah, I
That
can't think of
joyful
doing it
job.
now. I couldn't cope with going back to that world, but I loved it. I loved working behind the bar.
It was the most joyful job
Yeah.
ever. You get to talk to people, you get to know people, and people are out having a good time.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, me too.
I don't think I'd do it now, but when I did it sort of in my late teens, it was just the best.
I did one day working for an art company, And I don't know what was wrong with me. I thought, because at that point, that was just after I left theatre school, I needed to get something paying better than giving out leaflets and being Tony Tiger and stuff. And this was working with art canvases, and I thought, okay, that's kind of a long,
Yeah, I could see that would be up your street.
Yeah, only the actual job. So I went in, had the interview, and the guy was like, "You're too overqualified." I was like, no, I don't care. I'll be fine. He was like, "You are too overqualified. You'll be really bored." I was like, "Come on, you don't know me. I'll find, I love it. I can do it. Don't worry." He's like, "No, I promise you, you totally are not understanding what the job is." And I was like, "Right, fine, whatever." And he was like, "Okay, come in tomorrow. Just do a few hours and see." It was stapling canvas to wood.
That's quite boring.
Oh my God. I don't even think I managed the day. But I mean, he didn't even...
At least he warned you, I guess.
He didn't, yeah. So yeah, that didn't last very long.
So that's, you're never going back to that.
No.
I've always wanted to be a pop star.
Yeah. Tried that. That's really hard.
I think I might be a bit old now for that life.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm afraid to say.
I think, I don't think there's much left for me to do.
Stripper?
Yeah, I've never been a stripper. If I was ever going to be a stripper, I wish I'd done it 20 years ago.
Yeah, and made a shitload of money.
Yeah, I don't really think anyone would be up for watching me strip anymore. I think those days are gone.
It's not a good idea.
Unless they've got like strip clubs that are just like no light.
Yeah, and that you can wear a mask and stuff, so no one would have a clue who you are. You have to have boobies like her.
Oh God, yeah.
Look at the size of her norks.
I don't remember seeing that before. I don't remember. I mean, they're massive.
I don't know how she stays upright.
Look at her from the side. They are enormous. This is terrible for people that are just listening.
Oh yeah.
They're as big as mine.
They're much bigger than yours. They just put mine to shame. She is my latest project.
I like her. Although I'm slightly intimidated, by her enormous breasts.
I know.
It's very good.
Another weird one.
Yeah.
It has occurred to me as well, because she's quite often in the back of shop when I'm doing classes, and I did think for my kids' class on Tuesday I probably shouldn't have.
Oh, it's all right. Kids are allowed to look at boobs.
They don't mind. That's true. Yeah, they probably are right.
There's nothing wrong with them.
They're quite...
But
on this, I started yesterday.
that's just weird. That's really creepy.
For those of you who are just listening...
If you're just listening and you're not watching on YouTube, Alex is just showing me a ginormous purple hand that she's using to stroke her face. It's a massive hand, isn't it?
It is a massive hand.
Put it up to your face again. It's as big as your face. It's even with your big forehead.
Yeah. Look, it's almost... It is the same size as my massive forehead.
It's the same size as your huge forehead. Wow. Yeah.
So if you're just listening, you need to head over to our YouTube channel, Girl on Girl, to...
watch Alex Drake.
I don't know what to do with this, but what I'm thinking is... Imagine this is a light, and off the end is a light bulb. I think probably the hand is going to hold the cool light bulb, and then the hand will be in the wall, or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one.
I'll decorate the hand a little bit more.
I'm going to end up like getting that for Christmas, aren't I?
Yep.
For my present, it's going to be this giant purple hand light.
Yes.
Yeah. Where did you even get that?
It is off one of the mannequins that has lost her arms. Some of my mannequins have got arms. In fact, I don't know where the arms have gone.
I feel a bit sorry for her. I mean, she's just literally a pair of boobs, isn't she? She has no arms. Her face is just like...
She's got eyes, at least.
Oh, and her posture's terrible just because she's carrying the weight.
She looks really unhappy, doesn't she?
Yeah, it's quite a sad piece. Oh, maybe that's another job. I could be a life model.
Yes. Oh, I didn't do that. I did almost sign up to be a life model, but I did used to go to life drawing classes. And the very first one, in fact, in the next podcast, I'll have to see if I can find... She's
a bit toxic.
All right, love. I'll have to see if I can find this particular piece of art. I don't know why, because I study as an artist, so I should know what life drawing is. But for some reason...
You didn't even know.
And for some reason, I in my brain, I was thinking it was going to be like fine art or like fruit and stuff. And I rock up late to this class, and standing in the middle of the room is a naked man holding a football. And a lot of pretty old people, biddies, sitting around a circle around this man. And I was like, oh, sorry. Holy shit.
Oh,
I've never drawn a willy before.
Yeah.
But yeah, then I mean, all of the life models were pretty, no, not at all. And it's, again, hours of just sitting in one position. I could never do that.
A bit cold.
Yeah.
Well.
And people really scrutinising your bits.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not going to do that.
Nah, strike that one off.
There we go. Jobs. Unusual jobs.
Yes. That was fun.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. See you
See you
soon.
soon.
Stay safe. Ciao, ciao.